Hello there, and welcome back. This will be part 4 of my Lightsaber for Beginners mini-series. We're just going to talk about customizations today. So, and really cheap and easy customizations. There's a lot of things that you can do that's a little bit more intermediate when you're not a beginner. There's a lot of sabersmiths that will actually do different, different powder coatings and things with your sabers. I don't really have any experience with that. Most of my sabers just come with the color they are, or I alter them in some other way. And we'll talk about that. So a couple of really easy ways that you can modify your lightsaber. One way is actually weathering. So this particular part of this emitter here, this actually used to all be black, but I took the anodizing, which is just the coloring on the aluminum. I sanded this anodizing off so that this part would be silver. And then the weathering here is just where kind of that silver around the edges. I've seen some really cool black parts that were weathered down that looked great. That's one way you can do it. Just take a little bit of sandpaper, maybe a file, shave off some of that anodizing, and you can create some really cool effects. Another thing that I like is to use electric tape. So I've got some brown electric tape here, some black electric tape, and that's what I've done on these grips here, as well as this one right here, just to give it a little bit of different color versus being all silver, and it also gives a bit of grip. Another really easy thing to do is to get some O-rings. So I believe these are size 17. The size 18 are a little bit thicker. There's even like some 13 and 14. You can get this at your hardware store, just like the electric tape. And I've added O-rings all along here, again, just to break up that all silver aesthetic. And this also allows to get a little bit extra grip. Then you'll notice I've got this chrome and copper tape. And this particular saber, which was all blue, I've added this this chrome tape right here. And then in these smaller sections, I actually got this liquid chrome marker from a hobby store. And you can just use that in these smaller areas. I don't recommend the chrome marker on bigger, flatter areas. For example, I've got this Suba, and I manually painted on that Imperial symbol. I think it looks good, but you can tell that it doesn't look completely smooth. There's definitely some areas that look like marker. So, it's best to keep it in some really thin grooves like these, where you're not really going to see that. But for anything wider like so, I recommend getting the tape. And what I do with the tape is I actually put, I just have this clipboard and get a cutting board, and I put some masking tape down. Then I put the tape strip down and get the width that I need, get a straight edge like a ruler, and then just take an X-Acto knife and cut that down. That's going to be a lot easier than trying to cut it with scissors and a lot more precise. But you can really cut that down to be, whatever length that you need. Another really easy modification is to use thumb screws. So most lightsabers have these little retention screws that actually hold the blade. But you can find out what size threading that you have. For this LGT, for example, the retention screws are M4, so they're metric. And you can get thumb screws from all kinds of different vendors that go along with these. I've recently kind of experimented with using gems on mine. This is actually my wife's saber. I wanted to kind of, make this a little bit more feminine. Kind of like that. I actually have some red ones on another saber. And then another thing that you can do, and this is not necessarily something that you would do just right out of the box as a beginner, but if you watch some tutorials and do some Ito wrap, I actually have a tutorial video to wrap your saber in a katana style, but this is something that you can do. And I've specifically made this removable. You can do the wrap directly on the saber if you want, but this is removable, so that you can just do stuff like that. So you can really go crazy with all the kinds of modifications that you want to do. I think another modification that you can do is to use day blades. So I've got a photon blade here. I get that from the custom saber shop. But there's all kinds of things. You don't limit your imagination. You can do all kinds of different modifications. These are just some really, really simple, easy ones that you can do. If you guys have any ideas or any questions on how to elaborate, or something that you want to try out on your saber and you've got a question, leave a comment below and I'll be able to get back to you. May the Force be with you.